It's pretty broad stuff. Really all I'm talking about is the constitutional review that we're going through that most people probably have no idea what's happening. So the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union's undertaking a review of their constitution, and as we're an important part of the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union, we have been allocated a spot on the Constitutional Review Committee, and I've been given that spot, I suppose. So really what the first phase of it was getting looking through the Constitution and seeing where we can trim fat and things like that, and then looking to other regions and seeing what they're doing, things that we could implement that are a bit better. And then the next phase was we went out to the clubs, and so we did that by the sub-unions and a few more meetings, as well as the referees, to kind of get a gauge on what they all thought. Some of the key issues which we noted early on were things like the sub-unions, should they be retained, should they not be retained, the idea of having a sort of council of clubs so that we don't end up with a situation like we had a couple of years ago, I think, where this emergency committee had to be put together because competitions weren't going to run, or like we had at the start of this year when rule changes were kind of forced on the clubs, and the referees and the clubs felt they had no say in that type of thing. And just really going out to clubs and seeing what they thought their responsibility was in the community and how they felt connected to the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union or not. So I think the referees one went the best out of that from what I can gather. People grasped the concept that the Constitution's really this overarching document and doesn't tell you, day to day what's going to happen, but it sets structures and governance policies. A big thing that came from the clubs was wanting to keep the unions in some form, maybe not the same as they are, but especially for those outside of the Western Bay, they felt it was a key link to the rugby union, and especially for managing competitions, albeit junior competitions or those competitions that aren't at the very highest level, as well as managing rep teams and things like that. So that was seen as important. And moving forward from here, a kind of papers was tabled with the board last night for some further recommendations, and then once that's been adopted, we'll meet again and they'll go back out to the referees and to the clubs. In terms of the referees at the moment, for us it will probably be pretty much status quo. It's just looking for, and that they'll be fed out to the referees to have their say on exactly what our organisation looks like. But just making, I guess from my perspective, is making sure that we get the things such as voting rights, and if a council of clubs type situation happens, that the referees also have a vote on that, because the competition's just important, competition structure's just as important to us as it is to clubs. And I think we need a voice at that table saying, for referees, this is going to be unmanageable because of X, Y, Z. So they understand that if they implement a certain structure, they might not have referees or whatnot. But yeah, I guess that's what I can say at the moment. Will probably be early in the new year. They're looking to do the next round of consultation and have it implemented. I think looking at having a special general meeting maybe at the end of next year, but obviously wanting to do it properly and do little rounds of consultation, because what often happens with these constitutional changes is that you get two older gentlemen usually in a room having a debate about whether a comma goes here or a full stop goes here, or you add this word, when really we're looking at making sure that the concepts are right and that we are getting what clubs want from the rugby union and what the referees want from the rugby union, and trying to increase participation and I guess make it more of a community thing, because a lot of organisations, and probably the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union, have a long time focused on that really high performance area, where in reality that usually takes care of itself. What really supports rugby is that grassroots level and the linkages with the community, and getting deeper into the communities is going to ensure that rugby in the Bay of Plenty stays stronger for a longer time. But yeah, if anyone really wants to chat about the Constitution, I'm always down for it. So cheers.